first thing we need to do in terms of a tax overview is figure out what filing obligations you have. The good news is the IRS have made this very simple for non-resident students and scholars. Everyone on an F, J, M or Q visa status has some filing obligation. It doesn't matter how long they've been in the US for, it doesn't matter whether you earned income while you were here in the US. If you were here during the tax year on F, J, M or Q status, you must file at least one form with the IRS. So again, everyone has some sort of a filing obligation. Filing taxes is also related to your visa status and maintaining correct and up-to-date visa status. If you have a federal obligation, you may also have a state filing obligation, and we will go through that in more detail in the state filing section. The first thing we need to do is figure out who's a resident and who is a non-resident for tax purposes, because the filing obligations are going to be quite different. The good news is the IRS have tried to make this simple for international students and scholars. If you're an international student on J or F visa, the IRS will give you a period of 5 years where you're essentially automatically classified as a non-resident for tax purposes. So that's 5 years while you're in the US. It doesn't have to be 5 consecutive years, it's 5 years in total on your F and J visa. If you're on your research or scholar J visa, then you don't get the 5-year period, but you do get 2 years out of a 6-year period, and again that does not have to be consecutive. The other thing about that is you might be coming back to the US on your 2nd or 3rd J visa, and again if you've been out of the US for more than 6 years, the clock will start again and you will be entitled to 2 years out of the next 6-year period. And essentially what this means is that you will be treated as a non-resident for tax purposes. Once you've been in the US for longer than the 5-year period or the 2 years out of the 6-year period, the IRS then need to do what's called the substantial presence test. And essentially this will look at how many days you've spent in the US over a 3-year period, and where you've spent most of your time in the US, you will then be considered a resident for tax purposes. It's very important to understand that your visa and that your passport might still say that you're a non-resident, but from the eyes of the IRS, you will now have spent long enough in the United States to be classified as a resident for tax. It is important that you record all of your visas and visits to the United States, because all of them could have an impact on your current tax residency status. Now that we've figured out who's a resident and who's a non-resident, we need to understand what the filing obligations are. And again, essentially the IRS have made this simple for international students and scholars. Everyone who has been in the United States during the tax year on FJ, M or Q status has some sort of a filing obligation. Even if you have not received any US income, you will still have a filing obligation. If you have received US income, anything over $0 is now taxable.